Hi, my name is Josh Morehart. I was one of the youth that went on the mission trip out to Montana this year. I wanted to first off thank Wendell and the Pioneer Trails for transporting us up to our flight up in Cleveland. The flight up in Cleveland this year wasn't that bad. We had smooth travels. We went from Cleveland to Denver International Airport. And in Denver, we had about a 3-ish hour layover, which was kind of nice. It allowed us to go and get lunch and talk and kind of relax before getting out there. Then from Denver, we went to Great Falls. At Great Falls, we were picked up by the Youth for Christ Missoula people out in Montana. They picked us up in their school bus. The school bus trip took about 5 hours. It was kind of nice, though. It allowed us to connect with the people for Youth for Christ, kind of talk to them, meet them, hear about them. We didn't do a lot of travel during the week. We went out to the towns one day. Another day, we went out to water hole. We went swimming. And then the last day, we went out and dropped off the kids. That was kind of hard. Then the Youth for Christ Missoula people packed up and they drove us out to our hotel in Great Falls. And the hotel had a nice perk. They were able to drive us in the morning to the airport, which was really helpful because we didn't have any means of transportation. And then we got on our flight at Great Falls, flew to Denver, and after Denver, we chilled a little bit and flew back to Cleveland. And at Cleveland, I also want to thank Marlon and Rod for picking us up. I want to thank them for taking time out of their day just to come up and bless us.
Hi, I'm Caleb. One of the things that stuck out to me while I was in Montana was the cooks and the food they cooked. The cooking staff was extremely dedicated. They got up an hour and a half to 2 hours before breakfast to cook breakfast for 300 plus people. Then they got a couple hours off and did it again for lunch. Some of the people in the cooking staff that stuck out particularly were the head cook, John, who was one of those guys that everyone likes. His theology was, if you're hungry, come see me. And that was most certainly true. The next guy was Fred. He was the type of guy that first you go watch grill, and then you eat lunch, and then you go take art lessons with him. He had a full day every day. The other thing that stuck out to me was several of the other counselors, Dexter and Jaden in particular. They had the interesting boys. Dexter's boys were very stubborn, while Jaden's was extremely energetic. Through it all, neither of them lost patience, and that is something that stuck out to me and made me want to be more like them.
Hi, my name is Elijah, and one of the things that really stuck out to me from this mission trip were all the other counselors that came to help and all the other leaders. Everyone was willing to help out with everything, no matter the conditions, which weren't very good, just to be a good role model for their kids. For example, me and the other 5 counselors in my cabin, which by the end of the week got the reputation of being one of the loudest cabins at the night, would meet together after we rounded up all the kids, and we would discuss how we were going to deal with the night, how we were going to get everyone to be quiet sooner and go to sleep. And through all that, we were able to connect together better, which was really cool.
Hi, my name is Leah, and I'm here to talk to you about hiking on our missions trip. On Tuesday, me, Erica, Tasha, and Jocelyn and our kids all decided to go on a hike to a waterfall that was about 2 miles from the camp. We were out for about probably 2 hours, and about half a mile up, we found a dry rock bed, and we started to walk up it, and soon after we came to where the water started with the river, and it was really hard to keep all of our kids safe because the rocks were really slippery, and it was challenging. And so after we very carefully climbed up those rocks, they played in the waterfall for an hour, and then we started to walk down, and one of Tasha's campers slipped and hurt her ankle, and so it took us a little while longer to get back down because we had to help her get down. And that, even though it was a hard time getting there and back, God really helped us when we became closer with our kids and we built a bond because we all had to help each other to make sure that we all got down safe.
Hi, I'm Erica. One of my favorite things from this trip this year probably was just the relationships that we formed with the kids. It was pretty incredible. It was just great to see a lot of the same kids that we saw last year and reconnect with those friendships. A lot of the kids this year were quite a handful. For example, my girls, they like to run around and not tell me where they were going and just go off with their friends, and a lot of times they wouldn't, tell me or anything. And I had to track them down and get them to like breakfast and to dinner and to where they were supposed to be and to like our activities. And it was pretty tricky, but it kind of was all worth it then at night when we were in our teepee for bedtime, and we would just sit there and we would talk and tell each other stories, and they even wanted to read the Bible to each other. So I thought that was pretty great. One of my girls, she came up to me one of the very first nights and she told me that she was homesick and that she wanted to go home that night. And she told me that this is the longest that she's ever been away from home and that she really missed her family. And I tried to comfort her by saying, like, oh, this week's going to be so much fun. You're going to have so much fun. Just stay, and I promise that you'll love it. And I even said that, like, wait till morning to see how you feel in the morning, and just to try and delay it. And she really struggled with it at night. And it pretty much happened throughout the whole week. But in the mornings then, when like we all went to breakfast and did our activities during the day, it's almost like she forgot all about it, and she just had a great time doing the activities with us and being with her friends. By the end of the week, she came up to me and she told me that she actually had a good time and that she was glad that she stayed and that she didn't leave. And I was pretty happy about that.
The relationship that I had with my camper. At first, she was like really shy and stuff, but by the end of the week, she was really outgoing, and she like wanted to do everything with me and wanted me to play with her all the time. A lot of times, she would want me to play soccer with her, or she likes to hula hoop a lot, and we beaded like over 10 bracelets. She was in 2nd grade and she was from Arkansas. She was there with her dad and her family because her dad was helping out with the camp. It meant a lot because just pour out all my love to her and spend all my time with her. The one time she wanted to sleep with me in my bed, and I told her I had to get up at 5:30 and run 7 miles, and she wanted to so bad that she was like, well, just wake me up and I'll run with you. But I didn't wake her up because she wouldn't have been able to do that. But it meant, to me, that kind of showed me that, she was comfortable with me, because I had loved her so much.
Okay, so my name's Abby, and most people that know me know that I love to ride horses. And so, of course, I was really, really excited when I heard that there would be horse riding at camp. So when me and my girls got to the corral, everybody that was there, except for the guy that was in charge of the horses, Charlie, was standing up along the fence, and they were really quiet, and they were focused completely on Charlie. And for those of you that weren't at camp, that almost never happens at camp. So it was kind of like a big deal. He had his little nephew on the horse, and he was having his nephew demonstrate the proper posture for when you're sitting on the horse. And so after that, he showed the kids how to halter the horse and how to bridle them, how to saddle a horse. And then after we were done with that, he picked 2 counselors who had experience with horses, and he had them lead the horses around and give the kids rides. So while those two counselors were giving the kids rides, he was teaching several kids how to rope. And I was watching the counselors give kids rides, and because that's what my girls wanted to do. They wanted to ride the horse. And I was watching the kids, and I could see their faces. And when they first got on, they were really nervous, kind of. But as they rode around, it was so cool to see how their faces would change and they would start to smile. And by the time they got off the horses, they had like these huge smiles on their face. So I had two girls, Maddie and Kelsey, and they actually were not Indian girls. Maddie was Josh Jones's daughter. He was like the camp pastor. And Kelsey was the granddaughter of Pastor Bruce. He was the guy who owned the camp and kind of ran it and stuff. And we really connected well, and often we would, after activities, we would just sit in the teepee and we would talk and we would laugh and we'd play games. One time, me and Maddie, we were going and we were getting stuff for bracelets. And when we came back to the teepee, we found Kelsey sprawled out on my cot, fast asleep. And of course, we thought this was very funny.
Hi, my name is Christy, and I was privileged to help lead the awesome senior high youth on our mission trip to Montana last year and this year. The second full day we were there, around 40 of us got in an old school bus and went out to the towns where the campers lived to pass out flyers for VBS that was starting the next day. It was very hot, in the upper 90s, so we did our best to stay hydrated. It was fairly easy while we were at camp, as they had big containers of water and reminded us constantly to drink more. When we weren't at the camp, it was a bit more difficult, so we took our water bottles with us. We went to the first neighborhood and walked door to door handing out flyers and telling them about the upcoming VBS camp. Since it was so hot, we rested in any shade we could find whenever we had the chance, but little did we know, waiting there were many, many mosquitoes. I think just about everyone from our group got bit, and several had quite a few bites. Halfway through the first neighborhood, I ran out of water and got overheated. When we got back to the bus, thankfully someone gave me an extra bottle of water. While the teens went door to door, I stayed on the bus for the next several neighborhoods to stay out of the sun and try to cool off. Before we went to the last neighborhood, we stopped at a small store for a restroom break. Josh Jones, our fearless leader, bought everyone ice cream sandwiches to help cool us off. They definitely hit the spot. After our last stop, we went to a place called Mission Canyon. It was a road winding through very high canyon walls, and there was a cold stream running along the road. We stopped in the shade and everyone got out. Almost everyone walked in the stream to cool themselves off even more. All in all, it was a great day. We were able to see where the kids live, and some of the counselors saw kids they had met last year. One experience that stood out to me from our week was being able to witness a camper named Moses being led to the Lord. He had come to the first aid station showing symptoms of dehydration, so he laid on a cot and drank water. Bex, a leader that volunteered to help the nurses, started talking to him about his name. She talked about Moses and other heroes in the Bible. As I sat there listening, I prayed God would give her the words to say and that Moses would have ears to hear. After several minutes, she asked him if he wanted to accept Jesus, and he said yes. She prayed with him and then told Pastor Bruce so he could follow up with him. I'm thankful God allowed me to be even a small part of that. We had an amazing trip, even with the heat. Thank you all for helping and allowing us to go and take your kids.
Hi, I'm Deb Schrock, and my role when we went to Montana I served two different roles, not only as a leader for our group, but also as a camp nurse. On our ride out to the camp, Josh, our director, came to me and said, well, I heard you were an ER nurse, and would you agree to help out as a camp nurse this next week? And along with his wife, Erin, the two of us shared the role, and we had lots of lumps and bumps and bruises and lots of wrist sprains and ankle sprains, and some kids just being homesick, some just needing some love that they're not shown at home. Although I had been a nurse for many years, I had never served as a camp nurse. So this was kind of new to me. It started out our very first day, all the campers that arrived had to be checked for lice. This is just part of their culture. They view this as just another everyday thing. So it was going through over 150 heads to make sure that there was no lice there. And the ones that were positive that did have the lice, we had people lined up to take them in and shower them, shampoo them, go through all their clothes, wash all their bedding, all their clothes. Everything had to be washed. They had to be given clean clothes for a couple days while their laundry was being done. During this time of checking them for lice, it also gave me an opportunity to start talking with the campers and getting to know them. Sometimes it was just, what grade are you in? How old are you? Anything that I could connect with them. Many of them were brought there by their grandparents or their grandma, or occasionally there was a set of parents that arrived, but that was kind of the abnormal. The normal was to have grandma bring them.
So I'm Tasha, and I'm going to speak about a moment that happened on Sunday that really spoke to me. Okay, so we got the opportunity to go and hand out flyers for the camp and just experience what the living conditions are that these kids deal with. And so we were out, and there's this one moment that, I don't know, just really speaks to me, I guess. But Erica and we had just been like out walking for a long time. We were all hot, thirsty, maybe going a little loopy from the heat. And Erica just kind of shouts out, "Oh, I wish there could just be a little bit of a breeze." And I start thinking about the cook, his story from last year, how he was trying to hold up a tent, one of the big tents that was up, and it was like rainy and really windy, and he heard the Lord say to him, "I give you the power." And so he holds up his hand and just says, "In the name of the Lord, stop." And it stopped raining, the wind died down, and so I thought, why not? So I just start praying, "Lord, if there could just be a little bit of a breeze." And the moment I stopped talking, there was a breeze, and there was actually a little bit of shade, if I remember correctly. So.
Thanks so much for supporting me and the rest of the youth group.
So thanks so much. It was a great experience.
And thank you for supporting us for going on this mission trip.
So thank you for supporting this mission trip, and it was a great experience for me.
So again, thank you so much for supporting our missions trip, and I hope that we can go back another time.
So that really meant a lot to me, so thanks for all the prayers on the mission trip.
Thank you for sending me on the mission trip, and I got to ride a horse.
I also wanted to thank you as the church for allowing us to go, for helping us to go, for helping us raise the funds. The kids, our kids as teenagers and as their counselors, did an amazing job for the week. And thank you so much for allowing us to go.
Thank you so much for everybody that supported us, prayed for us, and can't wait for another mission trip.